welcome to Astrology Talks. Today I'm going to discuss how to check whether you are going to have a possessive spouse and what it's like to live with one. First of all, a possessive spouse is likely to constantly check up on you. They monitor your social interactions not just casually, they try to control and minimize them. Even subtle interactions with people of the opposite gender can trigger jealousy. It doesn't matter if it's routine talk, they might feel insecure and think, is this person more important than me? This goes for both males and females. A possessive spouse may also use guilt trips to manipulate you emotionally, keeping you closer. They often discourage your independence and react very strongly whenever you interact with others. With them, it can feel like your love is conditional. They are over demanding and expect your constant attention. In extreme cases, they may try to cut off all your social interactions, isolating you so that at the end of the day you have no one to interact with except them. Frequently, they might say things like, you don't have time for me, or you have other priorities over me. These statements tend to repeat, creating pressure and emotional strain. So, how do you know if your future spouse might be possessive? Astrology can give some insights. If your birth chart has certain combinations, then congratulations! You are likely to attract a possessive spouse. It's important to note that not all possessiveness is dangerous or harmful. The aspects I'm going to discuss only indicate the likelihood of having a possessive spouse. How much or how little possessiveness exists depends on the intensity of this combination. But if you have even one of these aspects, there's a strong chance your spouse will have possessive tendencies. In astrology, the concept of possessiveness comes up quite clearly. There is one planet that most strongly indicates possession, and that is Pluto. Whenever Pluto is aspecting the planet of relationships in your birth chart, it indicates that you are likely to have a possessive spouse. And what is the planet of relationships? That's Venus. So whenever you see a Pluto Venus connection in your birth chart, and by connection I mean major aspects like conjunction, square, opposition, sextile, or trine, then you are very likely to attract a possessive spouse. There are minor aspects as well, but for simplicity, we are focusing only on the major aspects. Here's the difference. If it's a conjunction, square, or opposition, the possessiveness can be overbearing and intense. If it's a sextile or trine, it's more of cute, positive, or healthy kind of possessiveness. You know, the kind where you might say, my spouse is really possessive, but it's kind of sweet. Another important indicator is the placement of Venus in your chart. If Venus is in the sign of Scorpio, which is Pluto's sign, that also points towards attracting a possessive spouse. The intensity of possessiveness depends on whether Venus is receiving positive or negative aspects from other planets. If this Scorpio Venus is heavily aspected negatively, not just by Pluto, but by other planets as well, then the possessiveness may not feel normal. It can be disturbing, difficult, and extremely challenging to handle. Up to this point, this is very simple to check. Even if you are not deeply into astrology, this is enough. You can go and check your Venus placement and Pluto aspects. I've shared the link in the description. You don't even need your exact time of birth. Just input your date and place of birth, and you will get a table showing Venus placement and whether any Pluto aspects exist. If you know your exact time of birth and want to dive deeper, then you can move ahead and explore the rest of the conditions that make you susceptible to having a possessive spouse. So, if you know your exact rising sign and your exact time of birth, then this section is for you. First, here's a general rule. If Venus is in your 8th house or Pluto is in your 7th house, then regardless of your rising sign, you are likely to attract a possessive spouse. How intense that possessiveness is depends on the further aspects of these planets and their conditions in these houses. And secondly, it's an addition to the already discussed planetary aspects and placements in this context. Now, let's break it down for each rising sign. For Aries rising, if your Venus is in the 8th house, Pluto is in the 7th house, there is a Venus Pluto aspect, or Venus is in Scorpio, you are likely to attract a possessive spouse. Basically, nothing new here. For Taurus rising, Pluto in the 8th house, Jupiter Pluto aspects, Jupiter in the 7th house, or Pluto in Scorpio indicates a likely possessive spouse. For Gemini rising, Jupiter in the 8th house, Jupiter Pluto aspects, Jupiter in Scorpio, Jupiter Saturn aspects, or Saturn in the 7th house indicates a possessive spouse. For Cancer rising, Saturn in the 8th house, Saturn Pluto aspects, Saturn Uranus aspects, Uranus in the 7th house, or Saturn in Scorpio points to a possessive spouse. For Leo rising, Uranus in the 8th house, Uranus Pluto aspects, Uranus Neptune aspects. Neptune in the 7th house or Uranus in Scorpio indicates a possessive spouse. For Virgo risings, Neptune in the 8th house, Neptune Pluto aspects, Neptune Mars aspects, Mars in the 7th house or Neptune in the Scorpio indicates the same. For Libra rising, Mars in the 8th house, Mars Pluto aspects, Mars Venus aspects, Venus in the 7th house or Mars in Scorpio also points to attracting a possessive spouse. For Scorpio risings, Venus in the 8th house, Venus Pluto aspects, Venus in Scorpio, Venus Mercury aspects, or Mercury in the 7th house indicates a possessive spouse. For Sagittarius risings, Mercury in the 8th house, Mercury Pluto aspects, Mercury Moon aspects, Moon in the 7th house, or Mercury in Scorpio points to the same. For Capricorn rising, Moon in 8th house, Moon Pluto aspect, Moon Sun aspect, Sun in the 7th house, or Moon in Scorpio suggests a possessive spouse. For Aquarius rising, Sun in the 8th house, Sun Pluto aspect, Sun Mercury aspect, Mercury in the 7th house, or Sun in Scorpio indicates the same. For Pisces rising, Mercury in the 8th house, Mercury Pluto aspect, Mercury Venus aspect, Venus in the 7th house, or Mercury in Scorpio also points to attracting a possessive spouse. It may sound confusing at first, but it's actually simple. Basically, the 7th house is connected with the Pluto, or the 7th house lord is connected with the 8th house or its lord. If these connections exist, you're likely to attract a possessive spouse. Why the 8th house? It's because the 8th house is connected to Pluto. Pluto is the prime significator of possession. Whenever it impacts the relationship points in your birth chart, it indicates themes of obsession, possessiveness, and control in your relationships and marriage. That's it. Go check your birth chart, see your placements, and find out if you're likely to have a possessive spouse. I hope you found this video helpful. See you in the next one.